So here's some early problems we had under the Articles of Confederation. One of the first areas dealt with respect from other countries. Britain had a couple issues with us. One was they started to impress our sailors. So here's what was happening. There were sailors from Britain who didn't want to be in the British Navy anymore because the conditions were awful. So they would run away and come to America, a pretty good place for them to go. England was trying to get its people back from this, so it would stop American ships and try to find sailors who used to be British sailors and bring them back. That's called impressment. The problem is some of the people they were getting weren't actually British sailors, they were American sailors. And so they were forced to join the British Navy, although they've always been Americans. So the issues with this, England had a reason to do it, yes. It was trying to get sailors back, but it wasn't always successful getting the right people back. So the colonies have a problem with that. Sorry, the states have a problem with that. But there's nothing we could really do about it because we were weak. They're also infringing on our fishing rights, which you would think, what's the big deal? They're fishing water that was technically ours, so what? Well, that's how we make a lot of money up in New England, is fishing. So there's some issues there too. Spain, we have issues there because they control the port of New Orleans, and it's a big deal because that's the mouth of the Mississippi River going into the Gulf of Mexico. So all those backcountry farmers that are now west of the Appalachian Mountains, to get their food to market, they either have to cross over the mountains with their things to sell, or they have to go down the Mississippi. So if the Mississippi River is blocked, they're kind of out of luck. And Spain owns this, but remember, they won't make any treaties, trade agreements, unless all the states make the same one, because it doesn't want to make 13 different trade agreements. And since we can't do that under the Articles, they say, well, we're not going to work with anybody. And so they close off New Orleans, which is going to cause a lot of problems for our backcountry farmers. We're going to have some issues with international trade. England, it's the same type of thing. They don't want to make trade agreements with us because there are so many. So same type of ideas with Spain. I just realized that I missed something. We also have problems with African kings who are demanding tribute from us. So when we're off the coast of North Africa, they steal our ships, capture our people, and say, if you give us money, we'll give them back to you. That's ransom. But they also say, if you give us lots of money, tribute, then we'll make sure that no one steals your ships, aka they won't steal your ships. So you're paying them protection money. That's what tribute is. Since we don't have money, because we can't tax, we don't have money to pay the tribute, so then they capture our people and ransom them, but we don't have money to even pay the ransom. So our sailors and our ships are just being taken. The ships are sold to make money by the African kings, and we're just kind of out of luck because we can't do anything about it. We also have issues with international trade. We talked about Spain already, but England, it's similar. They don't want to trade with us either. One, because, well, we just had a war with them, and we kind of separated. And two, it's hard for England, since we don't have an executive, one person to talk to make trade agreements, that it's actually difficult for them to know who to even communicate with to make agreements, which there's nobody, because they all make their own agreements. So it's just difficult. Another one, mo money, mo problems. We're having inflation because those continentals aren't worth very much, and we keep printing more and more, which makes our money worth less and less. And when you have lots of inflation, it can lead to a depression where the money isn't worth much and you have a lot more big problems. Also, since our money isn't worth much, some farmers are going to have issues. In Massachusetts, there's a guy named Daniel Shea, and he's actually going to start a rebellion called Shea's Rebellion about taxes. These farmers aren't making much from their crops because of the depression, and so what happens is they get thrown in jail and their property gets seized by the government because they can't pay their taxes. Well, why can't they pay their taxes? Well, because the government is not working well. So we really have debtors' prisons going on again in the colonies, which was one of the reasons people left England, was because of debtors' prisons. So we're just starting the cycle all over again. So Shea goes and tries to shut down the courts because they're the ones who are seizing their land and putting them in jail. And the uprising doesn't last long. They have one encounter with the military, and a few of them die, and they all run away. But it freaks the country out because we just had a rebellion, and now little mini rebellions seem to be popping up. So it's a little scary for them.